everybody, and welcome back to the best and your favorite footy podcast, Touchline Banter. As always, I'm your host, Ruben Dario Chavez Jr., a.k.a. Ray Chavo, and with me, my good friend and co-host, Shayan Karimi. Shayan, we took a little break. Life got in the way. Same excuses. But are you ready to talk some ball? Are you ready to talk some ball?
Absolutely. No, actually, I am not ready, and I'll tell you why. Slight tangent. I know the viewers, I'm sure you know as well. I've been slightly more into baseball, and one big reason of that is because of fantasy. And I am very upset because I was basically cruising the entire season with most of my fantasy leagues. In one, I'm on a bye week in the playoffs, and the other two, I'm getting absolutely just destroyed. Like either my players are injured or my pitchers are just shitting the bed.
Right.
Excuse the expression. And all of these are it's like a slight buy-in of like $5. Obviously, the prize money is good, but I'm frustrated, and no, I'm not ready, and I'm gonna leave actually right now just because the fact that guys in a made-up team with random names that I drafted and picked up off the waiver wire, who I would probably never meet or never actually see in life, are really influencing my day-to-day mental health is not good, and obviously it's getting further exacerbated through the footy field as well because. Actually, no. On that end, we're doing good because Real Madrid.
We are doing good.
Well.
Real Madrid's doing very well.
Yes, but that's an episode for another day. But no, I am ready to talk. There is we have a lot to cover. It was the international break, so that gave us a bit of time on our little hiatus. But today we're doing first episode. We're going to do United deep dive, if I'm correct.
Yeah, we're just doing the Manchester Club's deep dive. So, yeah, to set that up, I'm with you on the baseball thing. I'm also in a fantasy baseball league. I'm in the semis, and I've been doing pretty good all season, but I'm down in the game right now because it's like I had that. Whatever, it doesn't matter. I don't know if it'll. A lot of my players have been injured, and it's like at this point of the year, the teams that are bad, who you have a good player on, you're like, are they even going to bring that guy back? Are they just going to let him rest? Whatever. It's all that fantasy stuff.
I will quickly say this. If there's ever a sport that I think it's so tough to predict, it's baseball, because in any other one, it's a fantasy one. It's like, I will start, let's say, I don't know, like Donovan Mitchell, for example. Like last year, he did really well. I'm like, I know that if I start him, he's going to do well. And even if he's coming off an injury, I can bring him back. Like he's probably going to do decently well, but he's not going to tank my stats. I started some pitcher, I forgot who it was exactly, or probably remember later, who came off of an injury list, and I was like, I needed to start him because it's a bit of a risk, but whatever. And not only does he not do great, he absolutely gets blown to shreds. And it's like everybody was like, yeah, start him, and all the fantasy daily stuff. It's like, yeah, he's top 5 and start. No, he just shelled. Anyway. Yeah,
that's how it goes. Anyways, so like Cheyenne kind of teased, we're doing a Manchester deep dive. There's a lot of stories that have kind of taken shape in the first weeks of the season. It feels like the season's been on for a while already, but really only 3 games have been played. So it's still very, very new. So all of this stuff, some of this stuff is with a grain of salt. But I will say today, Manchester deep dive, because City, an early pick from a lot of people to win the Premier League, have looked shaky enough that I'm seeing a lot more media outlets kind of talk about how maybe it's over. And last year, me and Cheyenne kind of complained, especially down the stretch, that people weren't kind of acknowledging that there were some troubling signs. And we even said their recruitment's going to be very important. And while they did bring in talented players like Cherky, who I think is injured now, and
oh shit, I didn't know that.
I think he picked up a slight knock. I don't think he's super injured, but I think he missed their last game at the very least, or maybe he went out early if I remember correctly. And Reinders and all these people, we were not worried because we don't really care, but we were interested to see who would fill in the Kevin De Bruyne role, who would really get the most out of it. And there was the specter at the feast of Ederson maybe leaving, which ended up coming to pass, and now they replaced him with Gianluigi Donnarumma, which, again, everyone's like, that's not a Pep goalkeeper, so what's the deal? He brought in a shot stopper. Does he expect there to be more shots? In their last game against Brighton, they did not look good. They lost that game. They deserved to lose that game, and I think people are just kind of seeing the wheels fall off in real time. So we wanted to talk about them. In lead up to their big match this week, it's the Manchester Derby. No matter how good or bad these teams are, it's always a big match. A derby always is. And on the flip side, we also want to talk about Man United. The process is still processing, and it might be processing on a old Windows 98 computer because it's loading really fucking slowly.
On dial-up internet. Right?
Yeah, man. You can hear that. It's bad.
If you're old enough to remember that, put a
Yeah.
comment down of dial-up internet. I'm sure me and Ruben remember that. You couldn't use your
Oh,
phone.
no, you guys, they had to keep the
Jeez.
phone free.
Oh my God.
But yeah, they famously went out against Grimsby Town in the Cup. There's a viral meme that I'm sure we'll throw up here of Ruben Amorim like on the little board looking like a sad kid, like under the rain.
Oh man.
And they've now shipped out Onana. Onana went to Trabzonspor.
Trabzonspor, I think.
Trabzonspor, yeah.
Yeah.
They brought in a different goalkeeper who, again, people are saying is good, but like, is he going to be good enough to cover up the cracks? It's already been reported that he's not even going to start this weekend. They're going to go with the one.
Yeah, by Indir starting.
Yeah, by Indir. So yeah, I want to start with Manchester United because I think it's
sure.
I genuinely, and I don't know if you agree that this is a possibility, but given the rhetoric around it, given what Ruben Amorim has said, and maybe we'll throw this quote up if I can find the graphic or make one. Yeah. But he literally was like, "Yeah, sometimes I love this job. I think I'm going to be here for 20 years. Sometimes I hate it and I'm going to leave. Sometimes I love my players. Sometimes I hate them and can't look at them." He's like, "Sometimes I hate my kids." I'm like, this is what this job does to people. It's like it genuinely ruins lives. Like when's the last time a coach? I mean, the last time a coach did well was Sir Alex. And like, again, you can, looking back on it now, Mourinho had a pretty good spell considering whatever.
Absolutely.
But it's not even what happens while they're there. What happens afterwards? Like, Mourinho's career has never really recovered from, I think, the stress that he underwent there. Like, he's had good moments. Roma was a good period. Spurs wasn't.
No.
You look at someone like Solskjaer, who is like, now he's coaching out in Turkey. We'll see what he could be made of his career. Eric Ten Hag got fired like right away. It felt like
a year too late, or however long you want to put it. But yeah.
And then now it's Ruben Amorim, a coach that a lot of people had a lot of hopes for, is now seemingly spiraling, and it feels like no one has faith that he can pull his way out of it. So I guess my question to you, before we talk about the game or anything, let's talk about United. Mm-hmm. What's next? Like, what can be done? Do you think Amorim's going to last the year? Do you think do you think he leaves? Like, I don't know. I think nothing is off the table. So I wonder where your head's at when it comes to this United team.
Yeah, it's such an interesting, I don't know, mess or whatever you want to call it there, like just situation. It's like they're in a situationship, if the young crowd knows what that is. So I'll bring it back. In the first weekend against Arsenal, I was kind of torn because people were like, "Oh, United were the better team in the game," and I don't know about you, Ruben, but I firmly was against that because realistically, aside from a certain like period in the game when they created some chances, but it was barely any shots on goal, like they were absent in the game, especially in the first half. Now, Arsenal didn't look great, but Arsenal defended so incredibly well that they didn't give United anything. And I really think that also brought me back to one of Real Madrid's like performances against Liverpool in the Champions League final, when they just defended incredibly well. Their goalkeeper made some saves, and not as much, but Arsenal basically did that. So I didn't really understand the rhetoric of why people were seeing as United to be the better team when you're basically creating half-assed chances that are just almost just crosses into the ball for a Šeško who couldn't really do anything. The best shot, I think the best shot was something from Mbeumo that was saved, and that was it. I do agree that probably shouldn't have been a penalty against Cunha, but you know, that is what it is. It's basically 2-3 weeks past. So that's kind of where I stood there. But basically, I was like, they look promising. I liked how Šeško looked in the few minutes that he played. I liked how Cunha looked, especially, and Mbeumo looked good as well. And I was like, okay, this looks better. And it looks like we saw something different from United. Fast forward to now, and it just doesn't make sense. I'm not really sure what to make of it. I see that the biggest flaw is the midfield. And I just really think that playing Bruno Fernandes where he is hindering the midfield and also hindering your best player. Bruno Fernandes should be in one of the positions that Mbeumo or Cunha is taking up as the left or right side at 10. I understand that Baleba they were like, yeah, it's too expensive. We're not going for him. Or Brighton didn't want to sell, whatever it was, or a bit of both. But you're telling me you couldn't have got anybody? Like nobody else we could have came in and got? Like Elliot Anderson, I think I mentioned as like a sensible transfer a couple shows back, like someone who come in and fix that, probably help deal with that midfield section and just make that the double pivot there more coherent and more cohesive, and just have some actual passing plays that you could connect. They just look so disconnected, and there's no cohesiveness. And then I'm, I'm really torn on this. And when you say like, the questions of is Amorim gonna make it? Is he gonna stay? I want him to stay. I actually want him to be there and to do well. Because for one, I'm like, who do you bring in? Who's left?
I mean, that's the real question. Truly, they would probably target Nuno maybe, or Gareth Southgate. Like those are the only names that I think have any cachet where you're like, okay, like let's roll the dice and see if they can do some of what they did.
But
England and Spurs,
like,
respectively.
That dice roll you're telling me is going to be better than what you have with Amorim? Because we saw what just happened with Nuno, and we saw him struggle at a Spurs for other reasons, but that's a quote unquote big club. And then Gareth Southgate, like, serious? And
I fully agree, but those are the two names that come. 100%. And I guess like if you want a reunion with Jose Mourinho, but like that feels like impossible. So
yeah. I'm going to mention Mourinho in a second, but my point basically on Amorim is that I want him to do well. And I will say that I believe he can do well, but Amorim is suffering from the same thing that we said, I think, about Ange, and we've said about Pep. How are you so rigid and reliant on this system? And I think I've come to this conclusion, and maybe I'm wrong, and hopefully for United and Amorim's sake, I am wrong. I don't think that specific three at the back system works in the Premier League. I think a different three at the back system, like Chelsea played under Conte, where you don't necessarily have attacking wingers, and it's more of like out and out wingers, and it's more of a flat shape rather than a little bit more narrow. I think that works better. Obviously, with Antonio Conte, he had N'Golo Conte there, who was absolutely insane, and they need someone of that ilk. But if I'm Amorim, and just to him, I would say, dude, why are we so rigid? Why can't we switch the system? This system, I will fix United for you. I'll be like, I'm being a little facetious, but
Jim Ratcliffe, if you're listening, pay attention right now. This might be your next head coach.
I will work for the vibes. I will take pro bono and just work for the vibes, just to be in England for a little while because I want to go there. Okay, so they signed the new keeper. I forgot what's his name again. I forgot. Let me pull it up quickly here, man. We know we're not starting Bayern here, so Sen Lament. So you're probably starting the new guy. He looks like he has potential. Belgian, we know Belgian keepers apparently do really well, like Thibaut Courtois and others.
And so, obviously it's a worse league, but the metrics look good. He stopped more shots than anyone, et cetera, et cetera. Like he looks like he could be the real deal.
Yeah. So the players that you have, the system, the players that you have calls for a shape or a system that is basically a 4-2-3-1. I believe that you play a 4-2-3-1. You play Dalot on the left. The two center backs should be Yoro and De Ligt. I prefer De Ligt over Martinez or whoever else they can play there. You put Dorgu on the left as a left back. In midfield, this is where the biggest question comes for me. I think Ugarte is one of the worst players I've seen in recent time. Holy shit. What does he do? And quote Shaka Hislop, like I was driving and listening to ESPN FC and he said this and I was like, damn, he's right. They fought tooth and nail to get this guy from PSG. What does he do? No, seriously, he can't tackle. He can't pass. He's not good as a defensive cover. We got to find something you're good at. Like there's got to be something you can do if you've been made it to this level. This is unbelievable. But anyway, over there, I think you play, believe it or not, you play Mainu and Casemiro. I think that's your best option. You have to play those two. You play Fernandez in the middle as the 10, and Buemo on the right, Cunha on the left, and Šeško's in the middle. I believe I have fixed Manchester United. Now, obviously, that system and that formation could have its faults. We know Casemiro doesn't have his legs. We understand that Casemiro was never a player, or neither Mainu is a player to make the most progressive passes. Both of them kind of pass sideways. I think that's when like you could use Fernandes to come in and use his ability as a 10. But realistically, like, I'm not trying to oversimplify it. I don't understand how Amorim doesn't look at it and say, guys, the system is not working right now. You know, we need to get another player in. Maybe the system works when they just get Baleba and they fix that pivot and they move Fernandes up front.
I was going to say, like, whether or not the system can work, I do agree that it seems like 3 at the back is tricky to pull off, and you need the right group of people. And like, no manager's ever really won 3 with playing 3 at the back except for Conte that one year. And like, he didn't start off playing 3 at the back. He kind of did it out of necessity when he realized this is the best way to put the team out there.
Yeah.
He started off and he's a 3 at the back master. Like, I know he usually does play that, but when he started with Chelsea, he was playing 4 at the back. He changed it when he realized that he could do it and he had the personnel to do it. I do think Amorim is too married to his system, but I think we said it. I forget if it was on the preview or if it was one of the transfer ones, but like, I did ask, like, if they play Bruno Fernandes back there, or like, my question was, where are they going to play Bruno Fernandes? And if they play him back there, I think it's going to be worse for him and the team. And that's what's transpiring. Like, if this was a younger Casemiro who still had his legs and could be more of a shield and could do the running to kind of bail out Bruno, because what happens is Bruno tries to play those progressive passes. Bruno tries to take risks, and then when he's dispossessed or the pass doesn't go through, he gets caught out of defense, and then the defense can't really recover in time. And obviously, they had a keeper that couldn't stop like a runny nose. So all of that stuff kind of compounded. Why did it work for Casemiro at Real Madrid? Well, because he still had his legs, so he could still bail people out, and he also had Courtois and Navas at a time behind him, who were 2 of the best shot stoppers like in the planet for the years that they were playing for Real Madrid, right? And even then, it didn't work perfectly. Like, Madrid still conceded goals, but they also had enough attacking talent and attacking cohesion to make it work. This United side is never going to be watertight at the back, not let up goals, unless this guy that they just signed is the next coming of Courtois or fucking whoever. Like, yeah, like it could happen, but I just don't see it, I guess. And it does feel like he's too married to system. To me, it's a personnel thing. It's just that Casemiro doesn't have the legs, and if you're gonna play Bruno beside him in the double pivot, you're gonna be a man short. And like, realistically, 2 men short, because Casemiro just doesn't have what he used to have. So you have to play Mainu, but they were looking to sell Mainu, so they don't even believe in Mainu.
Which was insane. Yeah,
I agree.
I'll end off on this because I want to hear your thoughts as well. But basically, I understand that Amorim was brought in at a wrong time. I think he should have been brought in the summer. They should have sacked Ten Hag way earlier. But you know what? You take last season, you throw it out. This is a clean slate. It is what it is. Let's start all over again. I don't think that it's just completely his fault. I do agree that, you know, when he says stuff like we quoted earlier, I think it just shows signs of someone who's young and a little bit of naivety. But I also believe that's passion. I don't want to sound misconstrued. I really think that's a guy who cares. And, you know, oftentimes people who care too much, you're a little bit of a nut and you say shit that doesn't make sense to other people. But realistically, guys, he's on a hot seat, right? He's trying to do well. He's a young guy, right? He's probably trying to be successful for himself, for his family, for his career, his legacy. He wants to do well at United. I'm sure he cares about the club. The Grimsby result is damning. It's absolutely damning. That shouldn't happen. The fact that 11 United players, regardless of who they start, can't go out there. I don't even really necessarily care about the result, but just the way they played. They just looked defeated the whole time. It was as if Grimsby was like prime Barcelona in that 2008-9 Champions League final, whatever it was. It's like, what is happening out there? But I also do think that the board and the lack of a sporting director has to be addressed here. And this is, again, the top-down issue that we've talked about so much. Someone at United, just like someone at Liverpool or other else, recognizes the flaws of the team, has to look at that team and say, okay, listen, Amorim wants to play this system. That's fine. We're going to live and die by this system. But we have to look at this and say that one of the key components is to have a ball-playing, moving, box-to-box, intelligent, strong, et cetera, midfielder in there. We don't have that, so we have to invest or find some way to get that person. And if we can't, we have to sit down with Amorim and say, okay, listen, you can do your system further on, but for now, we probably have to adjust things and play a different formation because it's not working. Like, we can't keep going on like this. And again, to end off, Antonio Conte is a three-at-the-back master. He had players like Victor Moses and Marcus Alonso being considered for Team of the Year in the Premier League. That's the levels that they had to play at for Chelsea to succeed. Amorim's probably going to have to do that with the likes of, Amad Diallo, Dorgu, Cunha, et cetera, that I'm talking about. So I don't know. It's really tough to say. Just one point I want to end off on. I really think, and I'm really looking at this more and more, I understand Mourinho. It was a changed man basically after Real Madrid. And you can say that the Madrid media, crowd, pressure, everything bottled together kind of broke him because he kind of became a different person after he left Madrid. And I get that they weren't necessarily playing at United the way that they wanted to. I really am going to die on this hill that if they properly supported Mourinho I know they did invest, but that if they invested him even more and gave him the proper people that he needed, unlike an older Zlatan Ibrahimovic and like players like Ander Herrera, who wasn't really the players that they needed, I really think he would have been successful. I'm going to just end on that hill because he's not someone who's not been successful with proper support. So you need to properly back your managers. And I really think this is a sporting issue as well. It's not just a personnel. It is all a personnel and coaching issue, but it's not just on the players and the thing.
No, man, we can't keep doing this song and dance because if it's always the manager, then that means that there's no plan behind them. That means that on a board level, they do not have a strategy to get the best out of the managers or the players that they're bringing in, or they don't have a strategy with the players. Again, the fact that selling Mainu was even on the table, and I don't know if that was because Amorim didn't like him or because the club felt like they needed funds for PSR reasons, but the fact that that's where you are,
I think it's more of an Amorim thing. Yeah.
Which, again, is a kind of an indictment on him because that's a young, talented player. And if you cannot get the best out of players like that, then why are you a manager at a club like this? Honestly. Because, you can stay at Sporting and make Gyökeres look really good and then help Sporting sell him for 100 million euros or whatever and keep dominating the Portuguese league because your mistakes won't be as exploited there because most of the teams are much worse than you if you're in one of the top clubs. But if you're playing for United, you're playing you're coaching in the hardest league, probably top down in Europe. You can't make these mistakes. You have to be adaptable. You have to, on some level, understand your personnel and you have to get the best out of what you have. I agree with you. They have to back the manager. They should have looked at the personnel really. And honestly, I know that there was talks of them selling Bruno. It seems like Bruno last minute said I don't want to go to Saudi if the reporting's to be believed. If that's true, okay, you can't do anything about that. But if there was a real tangible offer on the table, they should have talked him into going, or they should have been look, realistically, we're going to be worse with you here. Because if we're going to bring in Cunha and Mbeumo, we have all these people in your position, or just be honest with him and be honest with yourself. You cannot fit every player that you want into the 11. It's just impossible. We're going to do an episode about Real Madrid and how great they've started. And one of the things that's funny to me is how the English media or the Liverpool fans were kind of celebrating / dunking. And there was also this, Trent wants out now because he got benched one game behind Carvajal. It's if you think Carvajal went there and didn't expect, if you think Trent, went to Madrid and didn't expect to sit behind Carvajal on a game or two, then you're fucking insane. He's not an idiot. And Carvajal is the same. He gave an interview to Spain and he's he obviously doesn't love the fact that he's not nailed on starter the way he was before his knee injury. But he's that's how football goes. I'm getting older. Trent's really good. It's good to have competition. That's what you're supposed to say. If Bruno can't play that position, why are we playing him there? Why? If it's not working, someone has to sit. It doesn't matter if it's one of the new guys you brought or if it's Bruno. And again, it doesn't mean they're going to sit every game. It doesn't mean that they sit the whole game. Rotate, change shape, do things, experiment with the team. But you can't just keep doing the same thing. You just can't. And it feels like the sky is falling because of how big of a club United is. and it's hilarious because they're in ninth. They've won one, lost one, and drawn one, and this is how it feels. Like, and that's just it's mostly because of the result against Grimsby Town, obviously, but still, it just like there's nothing to hang your hat on, and the Arsenal result I think is the perfect encapsulation of that. Because I agree with you. I think I'm somewhere halfway between you and what everyone else is saying. I do think United looked better in some aspects, but the reality was Arsenal, and we're going to get to Arsenal in another episode, but like Arsenal showed up to not lose like they do so often. So,
which is driving me insane.
Oh, okay, well, that's a different thing. But like, this is like the classic. Like, if you didn't watch the match, you just like look at the stats. Like, United had more time of possession. They completed more passes, more accuracy. They had 5 shots on target, and they had 17 shots total. Yeah, but the value of those shots, and I'm not like a big XG guy, but even just like how threatening those shots were is context that's needed. So while I think United played a good game, and they obviously were the protagonists in the game that took place at home in Old Trafford, to say that they were much better than Arsenal or that they dominated the game is a bridge too far, not one that I would go on. But you did feel like, okay, maybe there's something here. And then every result since then has been like, there's nothing there. Like, there's just nothing there. They've labored to wins, or they've labored to draws, or they've labored to losses, really. Like the Grimsby Town thing is, yeah. So I don't know. I do think there's a chance that Amorim just leaves because this job is breaking his brain. Like, truly, I think it's breaking his brain. It's a lot of pressure. And in a way, like, he might not have the temperament to deal with it. Like, I do think, like, not to play into stereotypes, but I guess maybe I can as someone from the global south who have similar stereotypes considering the relationship between us and the Iberian Peninsula. But like, it's a fiery people. It's a very emotionally led people. Like,
yes,
there is a chance that it's just too much pressure and too much of like a tight environment for him to really feel level-headed about the whole thing. I don't know.
Yeah,
I think he could leave. I think he could leave, or they could fire him.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you on that. And for Amorim's sake, like, I don't think that's a bad thing, man. It's like, dude, just be honest with yourself and be honest with the United, the board, the fans, and just say, hey, listen, I think this was too big for me, or I just can't handle this right now. There's nothing wrong with that, but do it sooner than later. Like, you know what I mean? I think that's. There's nothing wrong with being a man or a woman or person and just saying that, holding your hands up and saying that right now I'm defeated. I'm defeated. I need to figure things out for myself and come back. But then again, the question comes, who's in next and where do they go from there? There's just a lot. There's a lot there to unpack. And I think just this really stems from the whole top-down issue of, even when you look back at Fergie's time, how he was basically holding the team together with the Woodwards and the Glazers and everybody there, just not investing properly. And, you know, Ronaldo comes back and he says it's the same club, same training facility. Like, how is that possible, right? Like, things like this shouldn't happen there. And it trickles down into everything. Like, I mean, we didn't even mention this, but there was that whole incident with the penalty on Bruno Fernandes in the Fulham game. So, like, you know, the referee slightly knocks him and he wants to make a whole kerfuffle out of this. I mean, I think that's just a reaction of a situation that's just, it's just toxic. It's not great there. You're not winning. You're not playing the way you want to. He's being played out of position. He was considered to be sold. It's like there's so many things that are going on there that's wrong, and that's not good for anybody. I don't know. I mean, maybe at this point the international break could be a good thing, because, you know, you take some time away from the league and all those results, and you can come back and maybe you start fresh. Maybe you play a different system, Amorim, or I don't know, you find different players to fit in. It's tough to say. I mean, I don't know if you want to
we'll transition. Go ahead.
The only thing I wanted to say is that I'm just looking over some articles on ESPN FC, and it was saying, hold on, I have it right here. Or is it on the City page? I think it's on the City page. The worst Manchester derby ever is upon us. How did we get here? It's like,
yeah, I mean, that is kind of the vibes. I will say, like, it does help United that they don't have any Europe. They don't have one less cup competition until the Carabao Cup starts up. Was that a Carabao Cup game they lost? No, that was an FA Cup game, right?
Yeah, it was FA Cup.
So they don't have.
No, that was Carabao. Sorry, it was Carabao.
Okay, so they don't have any FA Cup games until that kicks off. So they do have more time to train and to think of different solutions. But yeah, Manchester Derby, the worst Manchester Derby, as said by ESPN FC, or whoever. on the flip side, Manchester City. I mean, me and you have been banging the bald fraud Pep Guardiola thing for a bit now, and I will say, like, they're below United. They haven't won this year.
Hey,
sorry, they've won one. They've won one, lost twice. So they're below United. And they invested, I think, more money than United did. And at the very least, I think everybody universally agreed the players they brought in were better. Everyone was like, "Oh, is Reinders going to be a player of the season? Like, he looks so good," and et cetera, et cetera. How do you feel about what many people are talking is the beginning of the end for the Guardiola era? I know he has a contract, I think, that takes him to 2028 or 2029. But realistically, Pep's at the point, both financially and in his career, that if he wanted to leave after this season, like, he could just leave. Like, it's not like I don't think he needs the job to boost up his CV. If he wanted to take another job, people would hire him pretty quickly.
Yeah. So we've already established that basically Pep has never been able to do well with a team or build up a team that is struggling. He's always entered situations where the team was basically ready and just needed that little extra push. Kind of like, Steve Kerr did with the Warriors. Like, Mark Jackson kind of built them before him. Steve Kerr came in and just gave him that little extra push that they could win. He kind of does that. He puts in his tiki-taka system. Obviously, he gets immense amounts of money transferred over into him. We know that there was the whole plan with him being brought in over to City. I don't even necessarily think now is the time that you could say is the start of the end for Pep. I think even last year or the year before that could be looked at that just based off of their transfer policies. And when you look at the players who they brought in. Before, it was the likes of, Haaland and Leroy Sané and Kevin De Bruyne and Bernardo Silva, Riyad Mahrez. I can keep going. This time, you look at the transfer policy, and I'm not just talking about this window, but before that, like Kuzanov, Akanji, Mateus Nunes even. Another player that comes to mind, who's the one I'm trying to find here. He plays on Guardiola, another one. None of these players are specifically screaming Pep, at least to me, and none of them scream like world-class, insane world beaters. And I'm looking at, for example, the lineup against Brighton. So City used to be something like it was, Walker, Stones, Ruben Diaz. You had whoever on the left, like, I know Fabian Delph did a job there for a while. And then it was Rodri, De Bruyne, Bernardo Silva. We had like a prime Phil Foden. And we had Leroy Sané and Gabriel Jesus, Erling Haaland. That's like a team that you can respect, regardless of if you like the coach or you like the team or not. Like, you recognize that as talented. When you look at the team on the weekend, it was Omar Marmoush, who just got an injury, who looks like a pretty good player, but I'm not sure how good he actually is. Erling Haaland, we know, is great. Oscar Bob, I don't know. To me, it's still like kind of up there. What his potential is at.
I heard someone say that they think Oscar Bob could be like upper echelon player. Like they highlighted him as being like kind of like, I guess, a Grealish type when has free reign. I was like, interesting. Because I'm not that high on him either. I just...
Yeah, maybe I haven't watched enough City. I would just say that from the couple games that I have watched so far this season, I don't think he's that great, but we'll see. We know Bernardo Silva is getting older. Rodri, Ruben is right. He looks slow. He looks not the same.
Told you. It's going to be a while till you get back up to speed. If he ever does.
Yeah. Reinders had a great game in the first game. He looked amazing. Next two, not so great. Nori doesn't look that great. Even Kuzanov. Again, like, you look at this team and my overall overarching point is that there seems to be, I'm not trying to go this tinfoil hat conspiracy theory kind of thing. There seems to be this kind of transfer movement going on that it looks like they know, or they're trying to get ready for Pep to leave, because of the signing of the players don't just seem to be a Pep mold. These look like players who could fit possibly in other systems. Aside from that, this team just doesn't look like well, and it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And I'm going to focus on the Donnarumma signing. So we understand that Pep cannot sleep if his goalkeeper cannot play from the back, and he refuses to kick a long ball past 30 yards. Sure, that's fine. Play however you want. We saw how that worked out in the Tottenham game. But James Trafford could be a great player. And when you look at his advanced stats and all the stuff I'm reading on The Athletic, I think he will be a great player. Is he that player now who should be starting in and out in Man City games? No, I don't think so. And you City fans can say I'm wrong. That's fine. You're 13th in the league.
Well, also their coaches don't believe that, or else they wouldn't have gotten Donnarumma. You can believe as a fan that James Trafford will be the best goalkeeper in England one day. Your own coaches don't believe that day is today, or else they wouldn't have spent money on. They could have just sold Ederson and not brought in Gianluigi Donnarumma. That is a thing they could have done.
Yeah, exactly. So we spoke about Donnarumma. I think recently of times we've said that his trajectory has been on the up. He's an amazing shot stopper. For someone who's tall, he can struggle sometimes in the box and like getting balls out of corners, which another Manchester keeper has been struggling with doing that. But the main point is that Luis Enrique, a coach that we obviously have appreciated him, because obviously he does come from that same Barcelona ilk, but he has been able to differentiate his system and not be so hell-bent on the tiki-taka passing Pep Guardiola school of play. Even he was like, yeah, I'm good. Thanks for winning us everything last year. I want to play Chevalier in net because he can kick the ball out. So how exactly does this make sense for Pep? Because he can't play out of the feet. This is a Joe Hart thing almost. I'm not saying it's going to be that bad. Obviously, he's going to play him because they just signed him, and he's a much better keeper now than Joe Hart was then. But make it make sense. I don't see how it makes sense. It's just they're just very disjointed. The defense looks horrible. We know I just spoke about Rodri and Silva looking old. The front line is a mess. Marmoush picked up an injury. Cherky looked a world beater the first game. The next few games, similar to Reinders, he looks like he shouldn't be playing out anywhere outside of the French league. I think that like the fall is coming, and by that I mean like the end of the Pep era. I still think they'll be successful. I still think City will finish.
They have too much talent to like drop out.
100%. 100%.
They could drop out of the top four. I do think that's possible, but I find it unlikely for sure.
I think it's possible. I don't think it's probable when I think about that. I'm looking at the table now.
I agree with that.
It just doesn't make sense. And I'll throw it over to you on this one. Listen, Tottenham has looked great. But the thing I will say is that in the City game, Tottenham didn't do anything that insane. It wasn't silky passing and, constant bombarding waves of attack. It was just constant high pressure and capitalizing on two City mistakes. Other teams can do that.
100%.
Hold on, let me just pull up the table. Brighton, I mean, they won, and they kind of did that as well. Burnley could do that. Brentford could do that. I'm talking about teams that are on the bottom. So is it like I'm not sure where Pep goes with this now. I understand Diaz is injured, Stones is injured, Foden we've spoken about and all this, but do you really think, I'm going to throw it over to you on this, do you really think with this, if they gets all the players back and everything's at full health, they fire on all cylinders? Because this squad just doesn't make sense to me. That's the best thing I can.
No, I think that, again, I agree with you that it's almost like they're signing for a transition, and everybody thought that the transition was going to be like rebuilding the squad in Pep's image with players like Marmoush and Turkey and Reinders and et cetera, et cetera. Some of the players don't convince me. Some of them I'm waiting to see more. Like, again, I'm with you. I don't watch enough Oscar Bob to know. Like, I just don't. So he could be really good. He could be the next coming of whoever people think he is the next coming of. I know that there's a meme on football Twitter going around that he can only get past people who are slower than him or whatever, who are past a certain age. I think that's a Doku. Sorry. So I'm unsure. I do think that the squad doesn't make sense in some places, and it's like what I said. Like they're missing Kevin De Bruyne a lot, and the passes that he made for Haaland and the things that he opened up. If they get everybody back healthy, if people start to fire on all cylinders, I just don't see it. It's a lot of ifs, and I think Rodri's so important to the way that they play. Their defense looks fragile. There's a reason why they brought in Donnarumma. Like for all intents and purposes, he is not the Pep Guardiola goalie. He's not good with the ball at his feet. You saw it if you watched any international play this weekend or this past week when Italy played Israel and almost lost. Donnarumma had a horrible time playing with the ball at his feet. He looked nervous, and he gave away a couple goals because of it. And I mean, he did it against Real Madrid, famously with Benzema pressuring him in the Champions League. This is not new. He is not comfortable with the ball at his feet. What he is good at is stopping shots. I think Pep sees what I see. Without Rodri there, that defense is extremely fragile. Extremely fragile. So then it becomes you just need someone to stop the shots. This is very much like De Gea at United. You're going to be on call. You have to make those stops. I think it'll help them. It'll make it so that like teams find it harder to score. And realistically, like we talked about it in the Champions League last year, why do we think that PSG beat Liverpool, Villa, why they would have beaten Barcelona if they had made the finals? They had a keeper who prevented goals, like not just like made saves. Donnarumma stole goals away. Donnarumma took points off of the board through his saves. Other teams don't always have that goalkeeper. Other teams have goalkeepers that make saves. Donnarumma is one of the few goalkeepers I say that prevents goals. And I don't know how to qualify that other than like you see a save, you're like, holy, that was a goal. That should have been a goal. In your head, all you're thinking, how did that not go in? And I think Donnarumma, Courtois, Alisson when he's on his best day, Oblak, like those are the guys I'm talking about. Guys who you're like, oh, you're going to need something special to beat them. So maybe that helps. I'm with you. I don't think they fall off completely. Like this isn't going to be like a relegation battle. They're not going to finish mid-table. They're going to be, at worst, they finish 5th place. Like I don't see them. And I don't even think that's likely because if they do get people back, and people can find form, they have enough individual talent to see themselves through a lot of games. What will hurt them is they're already dealing with injuries now. Rodri looks slow now. They're going to be trying to compete in every front. This isn't a team, again, the reverse of United, because of where Manchester City has found itself now recently. They are a premier club, regardless of how you feel about them and the state-owned club and the charges and blah, 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 noisy neighbors. They are one of the big 6. They are a team that is constantly in Europe, has won European competition. They are an elite club, capital E. So they have to behave like an elite club. An elite club cannot not try to win everything. They have to try to win the FA Cup. They have to try to win the Carabao. They have to try to win the Champions League. That's a lot of plates to be spinning with a roster that's already dealing with injuries, that's already, in my mind, similar to what you said, unsure of what is their identity. Pep's teams used to have a very clear identity. Every player fit into that identity, and they struck fear in the hearts of their opponents because of that identity and the way that they executed it. I don't think teams are afraid of them anymore. It felt like when teams played them, they thought they were already a goal down. So when that goal went in, they're kind of like, oh, it's done. Like teams would kind of throw their hands up. Brighton won that game near the end, pushing for a goal and pushing for a result. Teams didn't used to do that against City. Teams used to just get a goal up and just like sit back and be like, okay, we have to protect this. And the City would unleash waves and waves of pressure. Teams don't give them that respect anymore. And I think now with a keeper that even doesn't really play comfortably from the back, it'll be easier to ratchet up the pressure for the other teams to put pressure on him and that back line. And why would you be afraid? I don't think their counters are going to be as smooth. I don't think that their counterattack is quite as silky as it was when it was Kevin De Bruyne, Rodri at his pump, and with Ederson, who, again, like, not a great shot stopper. Ederson probably cost City some trophies in the Champions League and in other competitions because he couldn't keep the ball out of the net in a way that other keepers can. I don't think Ederson was ever a top 5 shot stopper in the game.
No.
But what he was someone who could basically play midfield from the goalkeeper position.
Which is why I put him in my overrated 11 on that episode that we did. So.
Yes. Listen to that if you want to see some interesting takes.
Yeah.
Because we were right about, I mean, Phil Foden was on mine, and he's basically been a ghost since then. He didn't even get an England call-up, so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think I agree with your point that that Pep is probably seeing the issues with Rodri and the issues with the back line, and that's why they signed Donnarumma. But again, I want to emphasize that Donnarumma doesn't fix those problems either, because Donnarumma, we know that even though he's, like you said, he can steal goals, he has his problems as a keeper. So you can't just rely on Donnarumma coming in and fixing everything. Do you think, I'm reading a lot of this and I'm hearing a lot of about this specifically to the game on the weekend. Do you think that City specifically can't afford to lose this game, or else basically like the title hopes are a wash? Or do you think it's like
yeah, I think, I mean, that's the nature of how the Premier League competition has been this year, where it's like you lose 1 or 2 games, it's already, and like the thing is, like City's already lost a game to someone, like they've already lost games that you would argue they shouldn't lose, considering, like, I know Tottenham's improved. I know that Brighton has been like an en vogue team, but like Brighton has fallen off from when people were like, oh, maybe they could push to be like Europa League regulars. Like people have kind of caught up to their recruitment, and Spurs are under a new manager. And like, I do think that the bubble's going to pop a bit in terms of some of their results once they start having to deal with like Europe and cup competitions and stuff. 'Cause the demands are going to be a lot on that squad that has some players with injury history, and I think like their number 9 situation is pretty tricky, with Solanke kind of constantly being hurt and Richarlison being hurt, and both of them being a little inconsistent at times. But this is about Man City. Sorry. I do think that if they lose this game, you might as well, like, I think it's over. If you lose to this United team, that means anybody can beat you. Like, and that's like it genuinely, like, I'm looking at the table, and that's what makes the Premier League an exciting watch. Who are the teams that you would look and you'd be like, yeah, that's a team that's worse than United? I mean, like Burnley, because they're newly promoted, but they've looked like they have some fight. I would say Burnley's worse than United, though. Villa this season has been awful.
It's very surprising.
So, like, maybe they're worse.
Yeah.
Fulham has started slow, but I think Fulham, it's 3 games, you know, like they two of them are draws. Like, I think Fulham and United, Fulham could easily beat United. You know what I mean? Like, I know that United actually beat Fulham, but like, I just mean like in the larger point. Or actually, they drew. Sorry, but I think those teams are equal. Is Leeds that much worse than United? Like
West Ham is really the only one.
West Ham's another one where you're like, yeah, that's a pretty fucking inept team. Like, it's so every other team.
Wolves too, but like,
Wolves have looked really bad.
Yeah.
Wolves, you know what? I'll give you Wolves, West Ham, and just based off current form, Villa. Those are the 3 that if you ask me right now, do I think that Manchester United would go and beat them 100% of the time? Yeah. Right now, based on what they've shown, I do believe that. Yeah. Every other team, even the teams that have like I think Newcastle has more to offer.
100%.
Like 100%. They've looked good and they've been on the bad end of some stuff. Like, I don't think they should have lost the Liverpool game. Like,
no,
they battled back really well, and that was a tough loss at the end.
Yeah.
So I do think if they lose to United, it means it's open season for teams. And again, I think it cracks. It's different now because of the feeling around the squad. When they lost to Ten Hag in the FA Cup, or when I know that, you know, they've drawn derbies before, whatever, but there was a long time where City would just embarrass United. And even if City slipped and there was a draw or whatever, they lost the cup or whatever, the fear of City and everything they were competing for kind of meant that you're like, yeah, okay, but it's one result. Like that result saved Ten Hag's job, but it's not a blip on Pep. Now it's a little different. Now it's like, if they lose, I think that shows the level of team that they are. And that's an inconsistent team that I don't think will push for the title, especially when you see how good Liverpool have been to start, how good Chelsea have been to start. And despite their cowardice sometimes, Arsenal still look like a tough team to beat and break down. So I think so. I don't know. What do you think? Like, so do you think this game is bigger for them or for United?
I think it's bigger for City, actually, because I think United is just like, if you lose again, it's like, oh, well, whatever. It's United, right? We already spoke about that. I don't disagree with any of your points. The only thing I would say is, like, obviously it's still early. We're going into match week 4. But if you basically fall, I don't know, for lack of a better word, 9 points, 8 points, 10 points behind a Liverpool, a Arsenal, or even a Tottenham in the top 3 positions, I understand you could lose 3 back-to-back games in the Premier League easily like that. Any of those teams could do that. But do we really see City being that consistent? I don't think so. And what we just spoke about, I really think it just goes back to the point that you made. The overarching problem is that teams don't fear City anymore. He's been figured out, and by him I mean Pep, is that basically it's 2 ways of beating him, is that you put intense pressure to the point that you can cause mistakes like Tottenham did, or you just set up shop and cause them to just play back sideways until you can win on a counterattack or something like that. Or you overload the midfield. Teams have done it. So that's the problem right now, is that how does Pep get back that fear, that like ilk that they were at before? Can he? I don't know. I'm not sure how much time we have, but I guess maybe we can end off on this point. I think it's a good question to ask, is that if he does leave and they do struggle, again, what does this say about his legacy? A coach that when the going got tough and there was kinks in their armor and he didn't get the exact players that he want, and he was found out by teams, it was, okay, thanks, man. I won the quadruple. I won everything that there was to go there. But once the going gets tough, I'm heading out, because it's the same story.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying he's not a great coach and he's not one of the best all time, but he's not the greatest of all time in any shout. And there are coaches that have struggled with issues that he has and done better. So what do we do with that?
For me, truly, I think I'm in the minority. I think me and you are in the minority. I know there are people that dislike Pep, but I think overall people keep comparing him to like Sir Alex Ferguson because of some of the silverware they have. Because Pep played in so many different leagues, or like he coached in so many different leagues, I think it's unfair to compare him to Ferguson sometimes, because Ferguson stayed there for 20 plus years. He basically oversaw 3 or 4 cycles of that United team, maybe even 5. I would argue Ferguson didn't leave him in a better spot. Sorry, he left him in a better spot than where he found them institutionally. On the field, that last Prem title was razor thin margins, and the squad was aging and it needed an overhaul. He didn't leave that team the way that, for instance, Klopp left his Liverpool team, where Slot was able to come in and there was still a lot of good stuff there to build on.
But that obviously also was more on the board than Fergie.
I 100% agree. And again, I think
if you're winning with Fabio and Raphael as your wingers, and just a Van Persie who's on a god season, like, I don't know.
No,
Ferguson takes the blame.
I agree. So I think Pep certainly is not leaving his team in a better spot on the pitch. Like, if he leaves at the end of the season, I don't think he's left his team in a better spot on the pitch. Because I do think the question would, if the season goes as poorly as it can, the question is who replaces Rodri, or what do they need to bring back to make the defense better, and that will require heavy investment and some new bodies and et cetera, et cetera. And then if you look at his legacy compared to other coaches who have gone to other places, like he was at Barcelona, and if you think about it, he was at Barcelona barely a drop in the bucket in his career compared to how long he's been at City. He got very fortunate that, and again, this isn't my words. People say that those Barcelona teams were the best teams of all time. That's how they are described. Even still, he couldn't really muster Champions Leagues year after year. Mourinho famously had the 2011 season where he took that team apart and basically pushed Guardiola out of Spain. And then he went to Bayern, which again, like, he made Bayern play probably the best football they've ever played. I don't think that's much of a discussion. Wasn't able to get him the Champions League. Bullied that league because they're the top dog and they have been for a while. And Klopp was there to kind of give him a competition. And then he went to Manchester, and it wasn't great off the bat. It took him a while to build, but then the money got poured in. He won 4 in a row. They won the treble or the quadruple, whatever. I think it was a treble, wasn't it? Or was it the quadruple?
The quadruple, I think.
Okay. It was a quadruple.
Mm.
And all of those are great, but it's always been with a massive amount of backing or with some of the greatest players I've ever seen. I'm not saying that every manager needs to manage with poor players. I'm not saying that you necessarily need to manage Stoke to prove that you're for real. But I look at how curated every step of the journey has been and when he chooses to leave and why he chooses to leave. And I do ask myself, like, could he have done what Mourinho did with Porto? Could he have? We know he can't do what Alex did with United because Sir Alex was there and rebuilt that team from the ashes multiple times. We know he can't do what Ancelotti did because he's not good in cup competitions, and Ancelotti he's won the Premier League, La Liga, he won the French league, he won the Italian league, like he's won everything. We know that he isn't, I don't know, he isn't adaptable. Like he just comes in, he sets up shop, he does his thing, and when he has the players and it's clicking, it works. But when the players start to leave, it's like, okay, either you find new players or he leaves. If he leaves, I don't think it'll taint his legacy to the world at large because there's still too much. There's still the Barcelona teams at the 2010, 2009, those really great teams. And then there's still the City team that like scored 100. They won 101 points, right, in the league. And they beat Liverpool by 1. And those teams were incredible, immense teams that, like, again, struck fear into the hearts of everybody. For me, it shows why he's not the best coach. If you want to say that because of his philosophy and the way he changed football, he's better than Mourinho or Ancelotti or whatever, that's fine. That's your opinion. The Mount Rushmore, based on coaches that I've seen, I can't speak on the coaches that existed before me. It's Ferguson, it's Mourinho, it's Ancelotti, and it's Guardiola. And I would have all of those people ahead of Guardiola in my personal list. But that's my personal list. And if he leaves now and he doesn't rebuild it, then I kind of feel even more justified in that position. Because I do wonder when he leaves, will this be his last job? So I don't know. I guess we're verging on an hour, and these are tough to edit. But I would love to hear your answer to your own question, and also I don't wonder if this would be his last stop as a manager. I think he'll manage internationally, but I think
I don't disagree with any of your points. So basically, I would say my Mount Rushmore is the same. If it's an order, I would say it's probably Ferguson, Ancelotti, Mourinho, and then Pep.
I agree.
But I mean, you mentioned it. Could he have done what Mourinho did with Chelsea the first few times and the second times around? People have constantly said, and I think the rhetoric that absolutely is true, that if Klopp had the same budget that Guardiola did when he was there with Liverpool, they would have won more leagues than that. I have to adamantly agree with that because they were there neck and neck every single season with a smaller squad, with a smaller budget, and he was found out by Klopp. So Pep has to take blame also as well for where the squad has gone because Jack Grealish's decline is Pep's fault. I will die on this hill. He destroys creative wingers. We've already established that. I still to this day. Go ahead.
Grealish got awarded Premier League Player of the Month today for the first time ever in his career.
That's true.
He's back to having a bit more freedom, and he's looking great. And Everton is looking good. They're ahead of the table for Manchester City. So, but continue.
Exactly. Phil Foden. What's happened with him? Phil Foden used to be this young player, dribbling, skilled winger, take on attackers, and again, he became a cog to a system, and now he's not doing well, and he's out for Oscar Bob. I understand. I'll say this. I still to this day don't know why they sold Leroy Sané. I get it. He kind of fell off for a bit over to Bayern Munich, but I felt like he was absolutely perfect for that system. And just because he was kind of young and unruly and he wasn't really listening to Pep and there was some thing issues, it's like, yeah, I'm good. I'm getting rid. What?
His man management has always been terrible.
Awful. So he has to take the blame for this. And yeah, he'll leave City probably at the end of this season if it doesn't go well, if not next. And he'll be viewed as great with them because they won everything. Why shouldn't he? But realistically, this to people who really know football, I think they will understand this end was a kink to his armor, was a kink to his legacy, and that's the only way really to look at it. Does he manage again? I don't think so. I don't think in club football he does. I think he probably does. Maybe what's it called? International management, like you said. I don't know. Maybe he does like a thing at Barcelona for like a swan song send off. If the Flick era doesn't work out, I probably not.
Truly, I just think like because of how tired. Like if he goes back to Barcelona, it's again being the face of that club, the political stuff, all that stuff, the stuff that burnt him out. I think, and I don't see him going back to that. Like I think it's international or nothing. And the funny part is, one of the international teams he talked about wanting to coach is Brazil. Mm-hmm. And they have a coach. I do think he would coach like Argentina if they asked him to. Or, and funny enough, I don't think he'd coach Spain.
No,
because of his
I don't think so.
On
the Catalan. Yeah, exactly. I will say this. I mean, we dog on Pep and we try. I mean, and it is banter and jokes and all that. But just on like a human level, he looks tired.
He does.
He looks like beat up. He just looks like a wounded lion, and
he looks a lot like he looked at the end of the Barcelona thing.
Exactly,
like, and that job took some of his youth.
Yeah, and to my last point, on a human level, it's like, dude, maybe just take a break. Klopp decided to take a break. Maybe take it off for a while, man. Maybe that's just good for him. I mean, again, we like to make fun of him, call it bald fraud, but this is just being decent as a human being. It takes a lot out of you,
and it's also like. It comes to a point where you're just hurting your legacy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and in Ancelotti, I think that's one of the reasons I rate Ancelotti so highly is that, like, people kept thinking, like, oh, is he running out of room? Is he running out of room? Is it over? Is it over? That man was managing Everton before he came back to Real Madrid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it didn't go, like, phenomenal there because Everton is Everton and they were still kind of figuring out the backroom stuff and the recruitment and all this stuff. And then he goes back to Madrid, wins a couple Champions League, wins the league, and basically shows like, hey, this dog's got some fight in him. But like after Madrid, I think it's telling that like it's not like Ancelotti was really like Milan needed a coach. He probably could have gone there if he wanted to. He didn't. He didn't want to go back to France. Obviously, they had Enrique at PSG. Every other job would be a little bit more of a step back, but I think he must know. It's getting tiring, man. It's hard. It's hard managing daily and having to live and die by these results. It's a lot easier to manage internationally where there's less of a spotlight and you have a lot more break. Like Ancelotti, now that the international window is wrapped up, he gets to just fucking chill. Like he can stay in Brazil, chill on the beach. He can go back to Italy, come up to Canada with his wife to Vancouver, where she's from. He can do whatever he wants.
Oh, that's. I was like, why is he saying? I'm like, I forgot about his wife.
Yeah, no, that's why he cheers for Canada.
Going to Parkdale.
Come down to Parkdale. Ancelotti, I'll make you some food. Yeah, so I think we can leave it there. I do agree. He looks tired, and I think it's you got to leave the football before the football leaves you. And I'm not sure if it's left him, but I think the City team's in a lot of trouble. But yes, okay. So I guess this note for anybody who watches it is less important, but like. We're going to release a bunch of episodes all at once because we have a bit of a backlog. This will be one of them. We have another one coming up. And then next week, we'll also release one on Real Madrid. We're going to try to be more consistent. This is a fun conversation on the Manchester clubs. Yeah. And the derby this Sunday, 11:30 p.m. Eastern time. We didn't get too much into the tactics of the game, but I honestly think the tactics are going to be just two teams trying to win. So... I mean, we know Amorim's going to play three at the back. We know that.
Yeah. Route 1 football. You're going to see it. You're going to see it.
Oh, my God. John Luigi Donnarumma.
Oh, boy.
It's going to be exciting.
Yeah. Well, we hope you enjoyed. The next episode is going to be out in a second. We're going to talk about the rest of the Premier League and what's going on there. And yeah, if you're Pep, just be a pundit, man.
Yeah. just go on Sky Sports.
See you guys later.
See ya. Peace.